have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world, when you hit that play button. So glad you did. Of course, you have found the Genesis Frequency podcast, where I focus on personal, professional, and leadership development for the individual, the small business owner, and the corporate team and a corporate environment wherever you are on that team. And this is about performance. This is about productivity. This is about accomplishment and achievement. This is about working with the way that we're wired to move from where we are to where we want to be. And that's why I want to change course a little bit from where we've been about frequency and vibration over the last couple episodes and start to I'm looking at this calendar flipping over. Are you paying attention to this? We want to be mindful. We want to be aware of what's going on in the world around us because even though we're working and striving every day to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in. But as I look at this calendar, September's more than halfway gone. As this podcast goes out this week, we got a week left, like a week left of September. We're about to enter the third or the fourth quarter, I should say, of 2023. And if you're coming back to this at a later time, and I know people listen to podcast episodes that are several years old, just go right past that because it doesn't matter. And even if this becomes a series and our group together, hey, just look past that because what I'm going to talk about today is applicable every day of the every year, whatever year it is. And that's knowing where we're going. So I titled this episode, Hey, what's the plan? Because I want to start early this year. I usually start getting you thinking about what's next when we get to December. But with a quarter left, I want you to really look at this strategically. Look at this for yourself. I want you to look at this for your small business and your corporation. And I've said it for years and years and years when it comes to setting some goals, most people don't do it. And I was one of them for a long time, and I didn't get any place real fast, until I started, I used to always say, hey, it's up in my head, or I'd scribble something down, maybe on on a bar napkin or maybe on a legal pad somewhere that wouldn't stay around very long. But when we do this strategically and intentionally and do some planning, we have a better feeling about where we're going and what we're going to accomplish in the coming year, the coming next few months, right? So if you're giving yourself a little time, this is how you get a running head start. This is how you set yourself up to make a quantum leap in your life from where you are now to where you want to be. Don't forget, it's for you as an individual, small business owner, or in your corporate environment when we look at corporate culture and corporate goals. So you want to do this work now, and that is the planning. What's the plan? Now, you may have been with me for a while, and I've always been one of these people that says, hey, you don't have to know how. Dream big dreams, think of big goals using the power of your imagination, and I still encourage you to do that. So you're saying, well, if you're planning, if you're planning all this out and you're planning what you're going to do, isn't that the how? Well, yeah, no, you have to take some action. right? And I think that's where some confusion comes in a little bit because this show is listened to by a lot of people in the laws of the universe space, so to speak, in the law of attraction groups, the metaphysical groups, since I am a metaphysician, the new thought groups, and, the Neville groups and things like that, where I think sometimes it gets a little out of hand. It's like, oh, well, we'll just think the thought. And that's right. We create our reality through thoughts held in mind. But I think most people stop there. Well, I don't really have to do anything. I want passive income. That's my goal. And so I set that, I want 100,000 or $1 million a month. And that's my goal. I'm just going to go sit on the couch now and sit in the chair and not worry about the how and just let it come to me. I'll just keep going and checking out the mailbox. Right? That's a little preposterous because we have to participate because it is the action that creates the reaction from the universe. And never forget that the law of attraction is an effect. We have to be proactive with the laws of cause, the laws that precede the law of attraction. And that's one of the things we do when we do some planning. Now, I never took a deep dive into SMART goals, but now that I'm a franchisee of LMI International, and maybe I let the cat out of the bag a little bit too soon, but that company is the originator of the SMART goals. And one of the reasons I always shied away from them is we never took a deep dive into what all that means. So, it's simply that you want to set something, you want to plan to achieve something in your life on your path that is specific. And I've always talked about the law of specificity. You don't want to say, hey, I'm so happy and grateful I now have a house by the water. You can do that, and then a house by the water might move into your field of experience, but it might be next to maybe a sinkhole that always fills up when it rains, or a drainage ditch or pond or something like that. You have to be specific, right? You say, I'm so happy and grateful I now have my beautiful condominium. Name the street on the Gulf of Mexico, on the Atlantic Ocean, on the Pacific, wherever it is, lake, river, stream, whatever it is, but be specific. So we have to do some of these things, include these elements that are included when we look at what are SMART goals. What do we want to achieve in our lives? Yes, dream the big dream. But then we're going to set out a plan of action to get it done. And that's what I want to talk about today. So we want to be specific. What is it that we want? We want to identify what it is that we want to experience. Where do we need improvement in our lives? Where do we want to see improvement? Where do we want to feel improvement? Where do we want to go? What is the direction? And sit down and really look at your calendar and block out some time to do this. And I encourage you to look at least 6 areas of your life. And this is really a way to be strategic about all of this. I want you to look in the area of finance and career. And some of these will overlap as you hear me go through these. You'll see that, well, this affects this one, and they do. That's just how it is. So you want to look at finance and career. Where are you financially? Where are you in your career if you're still working on your path, and even if you're in that retirement group, you still want to be doing something, pursuing something, growing, learning, that kind of thing. So that's where we overlap a little bit with mental and educational. Where are you with your mental faculties and your level of education? Is there more for you to learn to be more effective, to be more productive in your work environment, your corporate environment? What do you want to achieve in those areas? So we looked at finance and career, mental and educational. All right, maybe it's a certificate one or that degree that's been elusive. Maybe you want to go to school and just take a couple classes. What's the goal? What's the plan? Okay. Then we want to look at physical and health. I've been talking about this for a long time. Health and physical fitness is a big one that a lot of people come to us to say, hey, how do I do this in a more efficient way? So what is the goal? What do you want? Hey, start now. Don't wait till New Year's Eve, right, to set your intention and make the commitment to yourself. So finance and career, mental and educational, physical and health, social and cultural. We have to have balance. You can look at this as a wheel and have all these things as spokes on a wheel. And you can kind of rate yourself from 1 to 10, one being closest to the hub of the wheel and 10 being out to the outer circumference of the wheel. And see how balanced it is. See how balanced your wheel is. Do you have a flat tire? Now, when I first did this, it's like, oh man, I got a real bad flat. I got a few areas to work on here. So physical and health. Maybe you want to get in better shape. Maybe you want to release some excess weight. What is that? Get specific about it, right? Social and cultural. Hey, what is that? Are you what do you want to do? Do you want to get better at networking? Do you want to get better at getting out there and talking to people? Maybe experiencing more of a culture or another culture that you have not previously been exposed to, maybe learning more about that, maybe taking in some of the fine arts, that kind of thing. What do you want to do in that area? And these will all speak to you. Just pay attention as you go through this, as you set an appointment with yourself to sit down and do this and start the work now. Listen to what speaks to you energetically. You can feel it inside you. Yeah, and you can do it. If you do this chart or get on my calendar, we can talk more about this. And then we want to look at spiritual and ethical, family and home. Maybe you want to dive deeper into your spirituality. Maybe you want to become somebody that's really in alignment with your ethical principles. Maybe you have to define what those are. Are you a person of your word? That kind of thing. Are you looked at with, the person of character and integrity? What's that all about? You can look at these things. You can identify some of these things that you want to work on. Family and home. Maybe you need to spend more time with the family. Maybe you need to work on improving some of those relationships or establish some new ones. Maybe finally find that significant other, right? What's going on at home? What are the goals at home? Include your family in this, but take a look at all these areas: finance and career, mental and educational, physical and health, social and cultural, spiritual and ethical, family and home. And I usually like to tell another one, what do you want for you? But that can really be included in any of these. So you want to identify these and you want to really spend some time making your list, identifying what you want to experience that might be missing in your life right now or that you want to experience more of. So we do to a certain extent, although I'm always the ABC type goal, with the C being the dream that excites you and scares you at the same time. And setting that as your ultimate target, maybe your long range goal, and that's where you want to be. That's the vision. Maybe it's a 5 year, a 3 year, a 1 year, whatever it is, and identify it and be real specific about it. But then we got to move in some of the SMART goals that I don't talk about a lot because we're going to take that big dream goal and we're going to chunk it down, right? There's steps that we're going to have to take because we're not going to be that person that says, that's it. I've identified it. That's what I really, really want without really thinking about it too much, without giving it much thought, without engaging the mental faculties. And then they sit on the couch and wait for the mail to show up and bring them their their dream, right? Here's your pot of gold. So what we're doing is being more strategic. When we identify these areas, we make the list in all those areas. Then we go back to it and we look at it energetically. What's really speaking to me the loudest? What's really rising up? And I usually tell people, well, we want to focus on we should have goals in all these areas, to tell you the truth. But for our focus to be laser focused, we want to focus on maybe what's rising to the top personally and what's rising to the top professionally, right? So we don't want to work on 150 different goals at one time because when our attention is on this one over here, we're not looking at this one on the right. When we're looking at this one up here, we're not looking at the one on the bottom. So we want to start to develop this focus now. What rises to the top? What is our chief aim? What is the pursuit that we're willing to undertake to achieve the worthy ideal? Because that's what goals and success is all about. The process of achievement and performance and productivity in the direction of the worthy ideal, the life we would love to live. So look at all these areas, and sometimes some things are going to speak to you louder than others. Somebody says, it's just you. You're right. It's this. I've been putting it off, getting in shape, getting this weight released, and that's moving to the top. Well, great. That's fine. Be specific. What's the number, right? So that's where we look at. I'm going to chunk it down. You want to drop 100 pounds and you see yourself, okay, you're specific. That's where you want to go. But now we're chunking it down. What do you want to do this month? What are you going to do next month? You want to be specific about all this. This is a good one to use as an example because you want your goal to be measurable. You want to take action, right? Like I said earlier, you want to take action, but you want to measure your progress. So is it measurable? Is your achievement? Are your steps? Can you see them? Can you see that? Yeah, I'm stepping back, being objective here, and I'm observing my progress. And yeah, I can measure. And if it's weight release, right, we can measure that. We can step on the scale. But we can do this with all our goals. If it's a financial or career goal, hey, how was that last review? Did I improve on the things they said I needed to improve on? So we want something measurable. And here's one of the two things in here that I moved away from talking a lot about SMART goals was the attainable and realistic part. Because sometimes I encourage people to be a little unrealistic. Don't don't come from that place where you limit yourself of I don't know how I could do that, or what your sensory input, your paradigms, your programming has told you what's possible for your life. I still insist that you think from the place of the infinite because your potential is infinite. So when we look at attainable, what we're really talking about is your belief. Is this something that you really believe that you can accomplish in your life? And I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't believe that, they want something, but they don't really believe it's possible for them. And until you get this belief in alignment with what you want, you're probably not going to make a lot of progress. So that's what the attainable part is all about. Your belief in the possibility of this coming true for you. Yeah, I can make this happen. I have no idea how. This dream is so outrageous, or this corporate goal is just way out there. But trust me, stay with me. We chunk it down. You can do it. And if you don't believe in your own possibility to do this, you can borrow my belief for right now in you that you can get this done, this goal, this dream, whatever it is. So be a little bit unrealistic. When we look at the realistic in SMART goals, these are all acronyms, by the way. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic. When we're looking at realistic, what we're looking at is, are we willing and able? Am I willing? Is it realistic for me to be willing to do what I need to do? And am I able to do what I need to do to continue to move in this direction? Because if we continue to move in the direction, we're going to get to our destination, right? If I get up from my desk right now in the studio and I want to move to the wall across the room, I know that I'm willing to do that because maybe there's something over there I want to go grab, right? And I know I'm able to. My legs work, my feet work. Thanks be to God, everything is working. And I'm willing to go over there and get that. I know if I take that step, I'll get there. I'm willing and I'm able to do that. So that's what we're talking about when we look at realistic. Again, attainable is your belief there. You don't have to figure out the how. You don't have to know how. But do you believe it's possible for you? And all things are possible for you. All things are possible if you believe they are possible, right? Because we're going to create them. You create them first using your imagination, where all things are possible, where you're dealing with the infinite. And finally, what we're working on here is it tangible? Is it something that we can experience with the senses? Now, you can set some intangible goals. Yeah, I want to experience more love in my heart. I want a greater awareness of the spiritual being I am. Those are some of the intangible things. I want to experience more joy. Well, we can move some of those things to a tangible thing so we can engage the senses because that's all part of this. And I'm running out of time for right now, but I really want to encourage you to start thinking about this right now. What is it that you want to experience in the next 3 months ahead, in the next year ahead? What is that? This is a great time to start thinking, where do you want to be at the end of 2024 or whenever you're listening to this at the end of next year? 12 months out from whenever you're hearing my voice now, where do you want to be? Make sure it's something that's outrageous, that excites you and scares you at the same time, but be specific about it. Make sure you can measure your progress along the way. I work with so many people that we do this process with, and they're just thrilled. They'll be 3 months in it, and maybe things change. We don't usually recommend changing the goal if you've identified it properly, but they might change the plan. And that's how we work smart, and strategic. So we want to be able to measure it. We want to believe that this is possible. That's the attainable part. We want to be willing and able. That's the realistic part. And we want it to be, yeah, this is a solid place, this tangible place that I am experiencing in my life. So we want to then move into, and we'll talk about this a little bit more next week. We want to talk about hey, what are the benefits? Why do I want this? What are the benefits that I can gain from achieving this? What are the losses that I'll avoid by making these adjustments in my life, by pursuing these goals in these different areas? What are the obstacles? What are the possible solutions? We'll take a look at all of this, and we're going to take a look at using some tools to do this properly and using some I like to say commitment material. I like to say planners and calendars, but some commitment material. We'll talk about that in the next episode because we're out of time for today. So start thinking about these different areas. Go back and listen. Write down these areas, this total person concept. This holistic, this whole person concept. These areas of your life, and where do you need to make some improvement? This is about you becoming the leader of your life. This is about grooming yourself to be a leader, a model and demonstrator, so others may see that the light in you is also in them. So stay tuned. This is good stuff. This is exciting stuff. And this is specifically meant for you that wants to move from where you are now to where you want to be. Get on my calendar, successappointment.com. Success appointment, all one word. It's a calendar, not a sales page. Opens up in your time zone, and we will have a conversation for doing this work, maybe in a more formal way with your company, with some friends, with some coworkers in the corporate environment. We do these workshops. So reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's get you moving. Let's get you set up now to achieve, to perform, to increase your productivity in the months and years ahead. For now, you've been listening to the Genesis Frequency, and this is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Cusmino, wishing you an infinitely spectacular day. God bless you.